Hey, it's Amy Lewis from News Radio KFBK from the morning show, here with Brandon Haefele, CEO and President of Catalyst Mortgage. Very happy you're here for the Catalyst Report. If this is the first time you're joining us, this is the weekly series that's designed really to simplify a complex mortgage process. So today, we're talking about simplifying things that are confusing, right? So the part that stumps even the most experienced consumer, which not a lot of us are. So Brandon, if you could pinpoint maybe some of the most complex parts of the process, what would you look at closely?
Right off the bat, I'd say shopping for the rate and knowing when to shop and how to compare. People don't realize that rates change daily, and really it goes from a quarter point to an eighth, and it could also mean the costs go up $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in a day, depending what the market does. So I think the number one thing is shopping is one of the easiest things that people get confused on up front and really affects people.
Do I know if rates go up $4,000 or $5,000 in a day? And if I don't know that, should I know that?
Well, I think that your mortgage professional should be educating you along the process, but I think there's easy ways for consumers to find out, where rates are headed. And one thing right off the bat is following the 10-year Treasury yield. The higher that yield goes, and Kelly covers it, during the financial report every morning.
Yeah.
The higher the 10-year goes, the higher interest rates go. The lower it goes, the lower rates go. So that's a great indicator right off the bat for a client.
When you're looking, though, to refinance, though, and you're trying to keep up with everything as a consumer, do we make mistakes in looking at the wrong way or taking the wrong avenue?
Well, yes and no. When it comes to shopping and to going that route, I think that we always look at what's the rate and not what's the cost associated. So a second ago we were talking about $4,000 increase in fees. It's the same kind of concept. Okay, so you're looking at the rate. What are you looking at the costs? And then also, is each company explaining it the same way to you? Some companies will say, we're not going to have any fees. But really, they mean lender fees. Do they actually mean true title, escrow, and all the other stuff? I mean, so understanding side by side, one person says one thing, the other person says another.
When you're talking consumer ego here, here's the thing, that when you get a call from your mortgage company that you're trying to do a deal with, and they say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, and you go, okay, and you hang up, and then you go, wait a minute, what was that? So, I mean, is that like a common mistake consumers make, thinking that we maybe know more than we do?
I would completely agree with that, and I always urge people when they're shopping for a mortgage or doing anything, just slow down.
Yeah.
Ask questions. You don't, I'm not a doctor. I don't have all the answers. When something's wrong. But I go to a professional. And the same thing, that you ask that professional whatever, questions, make you sit uneasy. And if you don't know 100%, ask.
Yeah.
Always ask. And do research online. I mean, educate yourself. Empowering yourself is key. And I would always say to do research up front. At catalystmortgage.com, we have Home Loans 101, a great section about how interest rates and how the process works. But do third-party research as well.
I think a lot of times, too, as a consumer, you kind of get overwhelmed with everything that's kind of washing over you as you hear the numbers and you hear legalese and you hear things like that. So is a smart mortgager somebody who breaks it down in simplistic terms?
I would say yes. And I would say that, for anybody that's shopping or anyone that's obtaining a mortgage, slow down and don't feel pressured that you have to do this. All the way up until you sign the final loan docs with a notary, you don't have to do anything. And review the paperwork, ask for explanations, take your time.
I think it's also important too, and maybe you could concur or not, but as the person who's getting the mortgage done with the company, not to be afraid to say, I don't understand anything you just said.
Right. And people have that fear of not knowing, but when it's your biggest financial investment, you need to ask the questions, and that will prevent you from being alone. That people lost their homes for. They were adjustable rate loans or pay option arms. Back in the financial crisis times, those are loans that people didn't ask those questions, and it was detrimental to their family. Don't put yourself in that position. Ask the questions, even if you've bought homes 4, 5, 6 times, because even in the last 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, guidelines have changed. Disclosures, there's new disclosures.
Like I said, if you're not a plumber and you have a plumbing problem, don't try to fix it yourself. If you're not a mortgager, so don't try to figure this out yourself. I think it's important to trust the people you work with. Right?
Absolutely. And that's a great point. Do research on the professional that you're going to be working with. Verify Better Business Bureau, the state websites, to make sure that they're licensed, and really do some back end research to find out who you're working with. And if they have testimonials or references, you can always ask for those too.
Yeah, it really is about trust, right? It is about understanding what you're doing and having the trust in the company that you're working with. So I just want to let you know, if you're in the market for a loan and you're kind of tripped up by the jargon or the parts of the process, you are not alone. Even the most qualified sometimes gets tripped up by it all. So don't be surprised that you are as well. There are resources to help. Of course, as Brandon said, you can check out catalystmortgage.com. Until then, learn more about it right there at catalystmortgage.com.